Hey everybody, Matt Sundermier here with the Blue Waters Group. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to hear me out on what I think is an incredibly important development and benchmark in our real estate market that we just recently hit. For the first time in 20 years, again 20 years, 30-year fixed rates hit 7%. So here we are at 7% today. It's the biggest one-year increase where they were around 3% 12 months ago that we've seen in over 40 years. This is a big deal because this affects affordability. Again, the last time they were at 7%, the world was very different back in 2002. Gas, for example, was $1.36 a gallon, all right? Friends was still a live TV show airing new episodes every year. The latest gizmo on the market from Apple was an iPod. iPhones weren't even around yet. It was the second generation iPod in 2002. Also in 2002, Tom Brady was just starting to become a household name, having just won his first Super Bowl. But what I really want to talk about is how things were different in the real estate market 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the median price for a Sacramento home was $187,000. So that was relatively affordable even with rates at 7%. Today with rates at 7%, not so much. So let's compare the then and now numbers. So again, $187,000 was a typical home price for Sacramento. Median income for a household was $45,000. Now, a very common metric in the real estate industry, I'm not a huge fan of it personally, is a price to income ratio where you divide the home price divided by annual income. It stood at 4.2. What that number doesn't account for is the interest rate and the monthly payment associated with buying that house. So I broke that down and got to 34% of a typical household income was going towards a mortgage payment with a 7% rate 20 years ago. Today, very different story. Home values are almost 200% higher than they were 20 years ago, while income is only marginally up 62% higher. All that translates into is instead of 34% of a household income going to a mortgage payment, it is now standing at 57%. That is an unsustainable level, folks. Something's going to have to give. Let's compare this percentage of income to what the market was at the last peak of the real estate cycle in 2005. All right. Yes, home values were less, annual income was less, but as a percentage, we're actually higher now for a household's monthly income going towards a mortgage payment than we were in 2005. That is a very troubling statistic. Again, something is going to break. Something has to change from these 22 numbers. They are not sustainable. One of two things is going to happen. Home prices have to come down or interest rates have to come down. Let me show you by how much, okay? These two numbers we've already established are unsustainable. Maybe we don't need to go back to 34%, which is what we saw in 2002. How about a middle of the road number at 45%, okay? To get to that number, home values need to come down to $420,000 in Sacramento County. That's a 21% drop from where they are right now. Now, keep in mind, from 2005 to 2008, home values in Sacramento County decreased by more than 50%. So to have a 21% correction, it's not quite as deep of a crash as what we saw, but it's very certainly possible to see them come down quite a bit if interest rates stay at these elevated levels at 7%. Now, if interest rates come down, then affordability is obviously aided by paying less in interest, and you can pay more for a house. So to home prices to remain at their current levels, 30-year rates would need to fall down to 4% to get that percentage of income to that acceptable 45-44% range. Now, which is going to happen? I don't know. We're going to have to see as we go into Q4 here and see what happens with inflation, see what happens with buyer demand. There's so many factors that go into impacting the health of a real estate market. But in the present moment right now, with prices where they're at, interest rates where they're at, we're at an unhealthy level. If I had to guess, it's going to be a combination of both prices and interest rates falling in the next 3 to 6 months for us to find a little bit more of a healthy footing for our real estate market. I know I just showed you Sacramento numbers, but this is an issue statewide and arguably nationwide. So what do you think though? I'd love to see some comments down below. Tell me what your forecast is and we'll all be on the edge of our seats here as we go into Q4 of 2022. As always, I appreciate you taking time watching my videos. Look out for more. I'll keep you updated with market analysis on my blog at mattsmemos.com. Thanks again.